the older class, we'll be coming tonight from James 1. And I got a good bit of support scriptures, but you don't have to go to them. I'll read them to you. You ready for them? Yeah. Y'all, kids, y'all good to be dismissed.
Mama.
Be coming from James 1. We're going to start at the first verse. And this is James writing a letter to the tribes he was, at the time, he was over. Yeah, so we just gonna read the letter, and we're gonna go in between, and we'll go from there. So James 1, starting at verse 1, it says, James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. And verse 2 says, my brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations. We're just going to stop right there real quick. Some people would say James went straight in for what they would call the sucker punch. Most people, they like to lead off letters with soft greetings and lead up to whatever it is that God has given for them to say to the people that they are writing to. But James went straight into it, and he said, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. So he was telling them, be prepared to fall into these temptations, because you're going to fall. And a lot of times what we tend to do is we don't want to fall. We want to be so straight and so walking the straight path that we expect God not to let us fall and go through anything. So you're gonna fall. So let's not put the blame on the devil when we fall. So verse 3 and 4 says, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. And reading this, I was just going over and reading it in several different, versions, and sometimes God put us in the bad so the good can come out of us. We should always consider the good things that are taking place inside of the bad situation, because James is saying here, you have to know that this is a trying of your faith. You can't worry about what's going on around the trying, but can you trust God when you can't trace him? One of our preachers said that, like the preacher was saying Sunday, you have to get to know God for yourself. You have to get to know God for your own personal self. You can't get to know him off your parents or whoever else that knows God or tells you about God. How do we know what God can do unless he has to perform a miracle for us? I said this Sunday, the modern day, back in the day, they didn't really need to have trials to trust God, because they just trusted God based off of what they saw from their parents or how their parents trusted God. They trusted God in that manner. But we have changed in society to now we only trust God by what he has done for us. So I only know, some people would say I only know God as much as what he's done, for me, rather than knowing God by what he's done for us. You know, so, and I have to ask the question because it can't. This is the question that God gave me. He said, "Why is it that God is the only person that we don't trust this way?" Listen to the scenario. So, when the mailman comes to bring us our mail, we trust the mailman to put our mail in our mailbox and leave it alone till we get home. We trust him like that. We have enough faith in the mailman to know he's bringing our packages, whatever it is, to our house. He's gonna put it on the porch, and he's gonna leave it alone, and ain't nobody gonna mess with it. But why do you trust the mailman to do that? Because he do it every day. And that's it. He do that every day. But God give us breath every day, and wake us up every day. So why we can't trust God as much as we trust the mailman? Why we don't have enough faith in God like we got faith in the mailman, or whatever it is that you trust other people more than we trust God. So we tend to say, I know God only. I don't know God on everybody else's level. Like, I don't know God on Manda's level. I don't know God on Apostle's level, or I don't know God on Tay's level because I hadn't experienced them in that time, or whatever God has done for them. I hadn't experienced that. We tend to say that, but when we deal with people, so. For example, I had one of the lawyers at work. He approached me the other day. Well, this morning when I was at court, he approached me. He said, "Hey man, I've been watching some of your videos. You need to calm down a little bit." And I said, man, you know me when I'm correcting a wrong. You don't know me on an everyday basis. So like. You understand? You saw me when I was correcting somebody in their wrong. You didn't see me when I was what I do every day. Like, you can't say that I'm too high pitched with people on an everyday basis because you only saw me when I was correcting somebody in their wrong. So he was like, "Well, yeah, that makes sense." And we talked, and he got to know me a little bit better. And he was like, "Okay, well, you're not that, you're a cool person. I just watched you at that time, So here we are. James is saying, at the time of your trial, you have to know that God is going to bring you out. Basically, is what he's saying. So. We are not patient enough, because right here it says, knowing this, that the triangle of your faith worketh patience, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. We're not patient enough because we want God to do it right now. We want God to do whatever it is we praying for right now. We don't want to wait it out. We want it done. And right here where it says an entire wanting nothing, he was saying you're gonna be whole. There's nothing that if you count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptation, knowing that the triangle of your faith worketh patience, and you let patience have its perfect work, you're gonna be wanting nothing. You're gonna have everything you need. And the verse that I went to back this up is Matthew 6:33, where it says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness." A lot of us seek the kingdom, but we don't seek the righteousness. And so we expect all these things to be added. What it said, "And all things will be added unto you." But you have to seek more than just the kingdom to get those things added unto you. So our life, basically what we're saying is our life isn't going to be so perfect that we're going to avoid trials and tribulations. It's not going to be that. once we learn to trust God, like we trust everything else, we will have a perfect understanding of what God means.
I wonder why why do so many people say so quickly, ain't nobody perfect?
Yeah.
You know, um, and then they'll follow up on we sin every day.
Yep.
You know, so you can hear the ain't nobody perfect, but is that giving place? Is that giving place for an allowance for us to do
For
stuff,
some of us,
and be comfortable in it? Because that it's a real common thing. And a girl said it yesterday at work. Something was going on. I'm trying to think. Oh, I know what it was. One of the guys there asked a lady, have you saw anywhere in the Bible where God called a female to be an apostle? And she came and told me, and I don't know how we got into that part, but anyway, she said, I said, I don't know, but anyway, she said, well, ain't nobody perfect, but she wasn't, that wasn't in reference to what the guy said, but where does that come from? Why is it that we read scriptures like this, like verse 4 said, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire. What are we saying? I mean, what are we saying? And what do we mean when we say that? Where is that? Is it cold in any of you, man? Y'all might need to wrap up a little bit now. Y'all's house be cold like that? Oh, okay. Okay. Cause it's almost like a shift in faith. Because I didn't have time to really, address it. But the thing of it is, we've got to understand that God calls us to perfection.
Yeah.
And He knows our ability. And He gives us what we need, according to our ability,
right,
to be that person. But it's such a common sin. Ain't nobody perfect. And we all sin every day. You don't know everybody.
you don't.
You don't know what everybody do every day.
Right.
You can't go no further than you.
You can't.
You
can't.
You can say, I'm not perfect,
right,
and I sin every day. But you can't say everybody's sin every day. Because sin is deeper than making a mistake. A mistake and sin is two different things.
Beth, yeah, you said that we finna get into that too. We finna get into that. We're at James 1. Right now we're at the 5th verse. And James, this is again James writing to the people that he was over at the time, and he's saying, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. So God doesn't consider our situations to which He gives us wisdom. When we ask God for wisdom, or if you ask God, and we'll go into the next verse, when you ask God without having any stumbling of your faith, you ask God for wisdom, and whatever it is you ask God for, if you trust God with your faith, whatever it is, it's going to be done. God gives us wisdom based only on the trust and confidence in Him, and not our track record for not trusting Him. We don't know when we don't know what to do. I said, stop telling people you know this and leading them away from Christ. Because a lot of times when we are approached, where like Pastor said she was approached on her job, a lot of times we go instantly into, oh, well, I know this about the Bible. But sometimes you need to stop, and I've had to do it myself, stop and say, God, give me wisdom for this situation. Because your words may hurt somebody, and what you might be saying might contradict with what they're being told. And if you wait on God's wisdom, He might give you something that can correct what they're being taught, and they can receive it better. Because a lot of people, when they're being taught something, they're not going to waver from what they're being taught. That's just what they're being taught. So when I was at work, I was approached by one of my coworkers, and he said he don't go to church anymore because what he was being taught was hypocritical. And so I said, okay, well, and in that situation, I pray to God every day for Him to give me wisdom and what to say in order to walk around. You don't want to walk on eggshells, but He know how I am when it comes to God. I go to church, I'm not going to waver, none of that. So I said, we got to stop leading people to Christ with our mouth and letting our actions lead them away. So if we gonna speak Christ to people, you got to live Christ to people. So verse 6, and it says, but let him act in faith, nothing wavering, for he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. So just look at a neighbor and ask him, do your faith match what you asking God for?
Does your faith match what you ask God for? Okay.
So in Psalms 37:4, it says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and He shall give thee the desires of thine heart. So we need to have undoubtful belief, and God wants us to come to Him knowing that He is the source. Because you see, acts in faith and nothing wavering, for he that wavers is like a wave of the sea. When that wind is blowing on that sea, wherever that wind is going, that's how the sea is going to move. So if you are like a wave of the sea, you're going to have so many different things going on. You're not going to be stable minded. You're not going to have a straight on answer. And we can't lead somebody else to Christ if we can't keep our mind straight. So I said we always look for a second opinion on things. We always want to be comforted. We always want somebody that can get in with us in our situation. We always want somebody to say, well, maybe you wasn't wrong in this aspect of it. But what did God say? Even when it comes to like say you come up for prayer, you say you listen to the preacher say you healed or whatever, and you go back, well, my doctor said, but what did God say? Because when you like that, you're asking in faith for to be healed, but then you going back to your seat as a wave of the sea. So back in James' days, when he was writing this letter, back in James' days, they would trust in things like false idols or things like that. But we use celebrities and their influenced music to be our second opinion. We'll go to verse 7, and it says, for let not that man that think, catch this, it say, for let not that man that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. So he didn't say from the Lord, because when you say from, that's him giving you something. When you say of, that's what's already on him that you're not gonna get. That's already a part of him. You can't fix that. If it says if you think, for let not that man think he shall receive anything of the Lord. So I'm trying to see what I got lost. Hold on. All right. So right here, we have to know that God is the only way. Just simple as that. It's not no second opinions on that. It's just God is the only way. Like he said in John 14:6, I am the way and the truth and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. You have to just trust God enough to know He's the only way, and there's nothing else to it.
I was thinking today about how I think one of our problems when it comes to wavering faith and all that stuff, I think we try to live the Bible over.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of taking what
they
the Bible said
mm-hmm.
for us today and live by that. It seems like we're trying to live the Bible. Because the Bible, even when, I said a lot, but when Jesus came, they were trying to live the law
Mm-hmm.
instead of living what the law had pointed them to that was going to happen in the future. And if they had lived what the law had pointed them to, or the prophets had pointed them to that was going to happen in the future, it would have been easy for them to let the law go.
Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes we don't understand that this ain't a ground play.
Mm-hmm.
This is a future, and it prepares us for this time. But I think we try to live in the Bible time, right there in the happen. Because I was thinking about something else, because we don't quite know how to have perfect faith, but we read about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel like when we read about it, we are getting substance from that we ought to already have, because we are in the time of faith.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We are in the time of faith, and we supposed to to be living faith, not trying to relive the written word,
Mm-hmm.
but we supposed to be living what the word pointed us to. So I think that's why a lot of times we find ourselves weak. And the first thing we do is run back to the Bible to see what this scripture said, we supposed to be living this,
Mm-hmm.
Joyce, it kind of made me think about the question about the apostle. Because I thought about it, that there was, you can't find in the Bible where God said, I'm calling a man to be an apostle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm calling a man to be a reverend. I'm calling a man to. You can't find it. One man in the Bible said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, and He has anointed me to preach." But just to say, God called me to preach, that's different. God called me to be an apostle. These are gifts
Mm-hmm.
that the day of Pentecost pointed us to.
Mm-hmm.
That it would be happening in these times. But people try to live in the Bible. You gotta come, just like I said, they was trying to live in the law.
Mm-hmm.
But they had to be prepared to live on what the prophets had said was going to happen instead of getting stuck in the law when the prophets gave the law. Y'all understand what I'm saying? You can't be fully prepared to have the faith in God. Because if you don't have faith in God, your patience is always waiting. Because you look at situations and we're not supposed to face it that way because we're supposed to be living faith. We're supposed to be walking faith. And we're supposed to be groomed by now because of the time we in that the Bible already pointed us to this time.
So verse 8 says, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So, you know, he didn't say you was only unstable in your faith. He said you was unstable in all your ways. You know.
So what is the double-minded man like? What is this?
So I'm gonna just based off of what the previous text saying. I would say a double-minded man is somebody that has two opinions. You got faith in God for this, but then you lean into your own understandings on this. So you know God can do this, but myself, I know this.
Yeah. I know God let my heart beat.
The young man that raised the question about it showed me in the Bible where God called a woman to be an apostle. In my opinion, with working with him, he feels he's a knowledgeable person. He has a lot of, but you don't see it applied within his own life. The knowledge that he spread around the plan itself is not exhibit within him. But yet you can raise, and a question that's important is there were several of us standing there at the time. But when you say it's just your opinion, on one hand you're thinking, I'm faithful to this or I'm this, but then you got this opinion about that. But when nobody is in agreement with your opinion, you feel offended because you're so knowledgeable. But now just holding a conversation with it, he'll probably make your head hurt. He just stuff just come from everywhere. But I do not see it exhibited in his walk. Not at all, none of it. So I'm thinking, because he's so knowledgeable, he feel like he is bold enough to speak whatever his opinion is. And because, I really feel, I may be wrong, and Lord forgive me if I am, he's really not connected to anything that would stabilize him to let him know he's not what his mind have perceived him to be. But he don't never let you get
nothing out
in there, right? So you can lead him or give him. So I never well, if you conversate with him, you don't get in a word edgewise. You just have to listen. So if I got something to say to him, I just say it and keep moving. And he'll say, Miss Joyce, but I'm gone because I know it's gonna lead to whatever. So when he said it, I said, how can you say, are you God? He looked at me like, I said, well, you know what God can do with whomever he wants to. How can you possibly say what God can and cannot do? He was looking at me like, why would you say that to me? Well, I'm just saying.
He didn't have an answer though.
He did not. He did not have an answer.
He kind of, how old is that boy?
He's 40, in his mid-40s, I think.
He's real random. But I told him, I said, I want to talk to you. Because he came up to me, and he was looking at me. Because, you know, a lot of times when we're not trying to get up.
No, go ahead.
But a lot of times when those type of concerns are raised, and because it was kind of directed, because when you talk to George Pastor is an apostle, you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of directed to me, at me. So when he came over there, he looked at me. I guess he thought I was going to be angry or something. And I looked up at him and smiled.
I've never.
And he told me, he said, I said, what is it? He said, I don't do this at work. I said, you don't do what? A debate. That was the first time he had said it. I said, debate? I said, it's not a debate. I said, the Bible said, get an understanding. I said, I'll talk to you. I said, because I don't want to discuss it while I'm working. I said, but I'll come to you when we on break.
A debate?
And he started to put it on T, so I told him, don't worry about it. I said, I'll come to you. I don't know what he was finna say. T said, probably said something about, I think it's, well, he told me that he ain't gonna vote.
Oh, he did tell you that?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think that's dealing with the woman too, you know, but it'll all come, but you know, he's really supposed to be in holiness.
Yes.
So that's why we're bringing it up, you know, because we're talking about people's minds that, to me, just like I was saying, if you go to Acts 2:17, you will see the difference in trying to live in the Bible and live in the time that the Bible pointed us to. Because it said, where it said, God said, I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. So you can't stay right there. You got to understand, we are already in that time where God is pouring out his spirit, and he's not doing it by male or female. He said, I'll do it upon all flesh. Your sons and your daughters will prophesy. So, you know, you ain't going to find where Paul, you know, where Paul said he was an apostle. Paul said that. You know, different ones said, I've been called to do this. But you don't ever see in the Bible where, you know, now, in Eli's time, he called Samuel. He called them by his name. But he still didn't say, I'm calling you to be a prophet. He called them and told them where to go and what to do. So you don't say crazy stuff, because the Bible says God hates people that sow discord among the brothers. If you don't know what to say, don't say nothing. Because you're going to get your own self in trouble with God. You know, because while you living a double life, you talking about a person that's trying to walk the chalk line with God. You don't know what, God don't want you diminishing that person's name. You know what I'm saying? Say something about yourself. But the thing of it is, when you don't, I thank God for Bible study and stuff like this, because you don't try to teach if you don't have it. You know, if you don't have it down pat, stay up out of people's face, because somebody gonna get you tangled up pretty soon.
So we're going to skip down to verse 12. If you want to read verse 9 through 11, you can, but it really did. It pertained to it, but it didn't pertain to what I was trying to get out of it. So verse 12 says, blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. So it said, blessed is the man. So again, that's that thing where I was talking about in verse up in verse 2 where it says, "Count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations." You know, that this is basically saying, you know, if you keep going, you know, keep endure to the end, you know, is blessed. So verse 13 it says, "Let no man say when he is tempted that I'm tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man." So,
That's good.
so you know, me personally, I feel that he was telling us, you know, when we have temptations and we fail at those temptations, we shouldn't be blaming God for that. You know, we shouldn't blame God for our failed faith.
Right.
So, our and God never puts us in a situation, and He won't ever put you in a situation with the sole intent of swaying you away from Him. A lot of the things that God do is to move us closer to Him. So when you going through these trials and you're going through these tribulations, and it sucks. I mean, it sucks. It really sucks. But you're not supposed to sway away. It's supposed to teach you to have a little bit more faith.
I was just gonna say, God does. God gives us choice.
He do.
And your senses tells you the right and the wrong of the choice. Your life, you say it does not, because we got that thing. Follow your first mind. And when you don't, sometimes the consequences not. The results are not the same. So if we, like you said, stop saying, "God, let that happen," or "God, let me do that," or "God, allowed that." When you had a choice to make, and you knew the right choice.
You knew the right choice.
You knew. And we fall short a lot. Now, we do blame God for a lot of choices that we make when we know that they weren't the right choices for the situation that we were in.
Because cause God said that He said, "I form light and I create darkness," and He said, "I make peace and I create evil." He said, "I, the Lord, do all of this." So it ain't no way we can tempt God with evil, because all of it is evil.
All of it is.
Right.
And when we come up on stuff, our level of discipline is what just about gonna determine the choice we make. And a lot of times I don't feel like we have practiced discipline. You know, we walk, y'all. You know, we just walk. And a lot of times we don't walk in practice.
We don't.
We don't even think, I need to practice, I need to work out today, I need to practice. You know. And like that first verse, that second verse where it said, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptation." If we walk in practice, it'll strengthen our levels of discipline. And it will you're surrounded with discipline that will keep you igniting control.
Yep.
You know. And it'll teach you how to wait on God, because I really think we have to get to the place of knowing He formed light and create darkness. He make the peace and the evil. When we get there, we'll either start thinking it's here for me,
right,
or God gonna move.
Right.
But me myself, I'm gonna make the right choice.
Right.
While I'm in the midst of it, I'm gonna make the right choice, because I think about the Hebrew boy. And y'all, I like that when I say we don't practice What did I say? We don't
We don't
practice
practice.
Walk in
discipline.
practice.
Discipline,
Yeah, we don't walk in practice. We don't walk in practice. If we walk in practice, we'll strengthen our level of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't think about it.
We
You
don't.
know, if I don't know, if I need to hold my breath,
Right.
and it's gonna strengthen my vocals or my esophageal or my cardiovascular, if I need to hold my breath to do that, and I don't ever do it, it ain't gonna get no better. If that's what I need to do to make it better, I need to be conscious
Mm-hmm.
of making it better. And a lot of times, our level of discipline don't ever get any better because we don't walk in practice.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's it.
That's good.
And it ain't good. It ain't good. Like I said, when that guy came over there, he really was looking at me, cause he really thought I was gonna be angry and start firing off. But the real deal about it, I wasn't studying, you know, cause my thing is, you kind of crazy to me to say to anybody what God didn't do for them.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
You not that person. I know
You
when I
ain't
was at
God.
James Evans' funeral, and I made my little talk, I say, I said, it's a lot of us in here, and we're here because of, James. I said, but the most of us that got to know James got to know him in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
We don't all know him, that we got a different story
Yeah.
to tell, you know.
It's just like God.
And you
Right.
can't
Everybody.
tell, I can't tell you didn't have that experience with
Mhm.
James Evans, if that was the experience you had.
Mm-hmm.
I look stupid telling you that. Real stupid. Because I don't know what you and him was in New York.
yeah.
I was in Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy for anybody to tell you in this day, because we living in the time that the Bible pointed us to.
Yeah.
We already we are
in it.
in the time when God is pouring out his spirit upon our flesh. In spite of the establishments that the apostles made when they were bringing the churches together, we still got to understand that even when he said, let your women keep silent in the church, that did not put no kind of cap on the fact that God said, I'm going to pour out of my spirit upon all flesh, your sons and your daughters, going to be used by me. You can't cut that off. You have to rationalize with the fact that they were dealing with different situations.
That's what they were.
When they said what they said.
They were.
Because none of them tried to put a discrepancy on what God said. None of them tried to erase what God said. They wasn't that crazy.
Mm-mm.
They had to deal with what they were facing. Somebody recorded it, but the thing of it is, it didn't stop God from pouring out his spirit. He's still doing it.
He's still doing it.
That's good.
So we're going to go to verse 14. It says,
Can I say one
Come
more
on.
thing? The scripture said God is not a man, so what can you tell me he is? It adds some more to it, but I
Yeah.
just stop there. He's a spirit.
he is.
That's good.
Verse 14 says, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So lust is something that you desire or that you really want. So when you, basically this is saying, you're tempted when you go after what you want instead of trusting God for what you need.
Oh, that's good.
So, we feel that, when we going through stuff, we want to be unfaithful, move away from God, and it's basically own up to our own desire to sin. That's basically what it's saying. Have accountability for your sin when you sin. Don't say, well, I sinned because I was in this situation. No. You own up to your own sin and say, I sinned because I wanted to. So sometimes we will use trials as an excuse to disobey God instead of to trust Him at a deeper level. And even me myself, I will say I've done that. Used my trials and situations to disobey what God has told me that's gonna happen, instead of letting it be a stepping stone to trust God a little bit more. So, verse 15, it says, "Then when lust had conceived it, bring it. When lust had conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bring forth death." So, at that point, people will say, "Well, what do you mean by death?" I mean, because God said, you got narrow is the way, and there's very few that's gonna find it. When you sin and sin and sin, and the Bible says no man know the day or the hour that God shall return. Well, you can't use that as your excuse. When God's coming back, say, "Well, God, I was just I was just caught up in an episode, or I was caught up in one of my moments." You can't be caught up in one of your moments. No matter how terrible our circumstances are, the desire to sin is still ours. When we want to sin, it's our desire to sin. It's not, as some would say, the devil giving me a reason to sin or whatever. It's none of that. It's none of that. And James tells me that do not err, my beloved brother. So don't err. Don't get caught in your error. Don't be wishy-washy or whatever, and then you get caught up in your sin. And that's one of those things, like I was saying, don't let our mouth lead people to Christ, and our actions move people away. So verse 17, and I'm almost out of here. I'm almost done. It says, "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and coming down from the Father of lights, with whom no variableness, neither shadow of turning." So all good things is all good things come from above. I said we attempt to take control, and we struggle to find out our own satisfaction. So when we get a gift, or God give us something, and we want it to be, like I said, our way, we try to get control of it, and we try to use it for whatever satisfaction we want it to be. And then when you get caught, like I said, you get caught up, you caught up at that point. This is the last verse for me, and I'm done. It says, "Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures."
He's talking about the good gift that came from above. And actually, he gave Jesus as a gift. And when he said that of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, which was Christ. The word of truth, the word was God, the truth was, Jesus told me, he said, "I'm the way,
the truth, and
life,
the life."
Truth and life." And we have to understand that Jesus came in the flesh, even though he came as a gift to redeem the world from sin and redeem Israel. But he came as an example also, because Jesus could have made the same mistakes, he could have committed the same sin in his flesh that we can. And that was no, he didn't waver. You know, he didn't have a second thought. I don't guess he was thinking twice when he went to the garden. He came to do what he needed to do in spite of the temptation that surround him every day. Every day. They called him names, they lied on him, they watched him work miracles, and they wanted to call him a magician, you know, just another soothsayer. You got something.
No, that's good what you're saying. I'm listening.
And we have to try. We just need to read this stuff, because we need to start walking in practice. Because if we don't, we ain't gonna never get no stronger. As a matter of fact, we're gonna get weaker.
We're gonna get weaker.
You know, cause I remember looking at a 72-year-old woman that started back working out. And you know, you could look at her little face and eyes and tell she was old, but you couldn't look at her body and tell.
Okay.
Because she had started practicing and working out. And we got to understand, y'all, it is important to work on a practice, whatever. We got to monitor ourselves. You know, because somebody said something. We're the first Jesus, or the first
that
God
people see,
that some folks don't see.
We are.
And we might be the only
sometimes.
And if we don't endure our temptation, because we act like we don't supposed to have none.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
You know,
Yeah.
and they coming. We're in the Word. You know, we are not exempt from nothing. I don't care how much Holy Spirit you got. It don't take us and isolate us from the day woes and things that's gonna happen to us. You work the same place where other people work. You shop in the same places. You drive on the same highway. You know what I'm saying? So we are subject to the same whatever they're surrounded by. We're subject to the same thing. Plus, we gotta be prepared to be liable, because more stuff gonna happen to us. People there are people just don't like righteousness.
That's right.
They don't like it. They resent it. They want it, but they ain't ready for it, so they resent it. And you have to be careful how you interact with these people, because they'll call you to something that you better walk carefully in, because God didn't tell you to go around this stuff. He said, count it joy when you fall into these temptations. He didn't say, I'm going to take you around. He said, I'll show you a way to get out of it.
That's what
As
he
a
said.
matter of fact, with his spirit, he's already shown. He's already equipped us, empowered us, and prepared us. But we don't walk in practice, so
We don't.
everything look like a coincident or accident or something we can't prevent.
That's good. You know to think about that Jesus said he touched with all our infirmities. No matter where we go or what we've been through, it amazes me to know that Jesus understands. Because sometimes with us, we think that Christ don't understand. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to sin, it seems like nobody knows how angry I am. You know, when people shoot somebody, Jesus felt that. He felt that feeling before. He gets so mad when he kills somebody. He felt being being hurt so bad till you say you can't take the hurt anymore till you want to do some damage or something or sin. And my thing is, a high priest like that feel our infirmities for real, when we understand that, it's like we can kind of know that God is who He say He is.
Yeah.
And if God overcame it, then that means that we can overcome it too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That scripture right there where it says, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. And that's kind of like Jesus was. You know, He came satisfied,
Right.
doing the work of God.
Right.
So no matter what came against Him, He lived an example so we can do it too.
Right.
You know, because His mind was made up. I'm the Son of God, and that's who I'm gonna be.
Even though folks talked and told him,
Right.
told him all them things, he didn't waver.
We gonna have to walk in practice, y'all.
Yeah, without sin. All that stuff he felt the same thing we
He
feel.
felt it.
Without sin, but never
He
did.
felt it.
Yeah.
He went through.
Yeah.
It said a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Got a little bit of God, a little bit of Jesus. I don't like to hear people say, ain't nobody perfect. Everybody gonna sin. This scripture said that you may be perfect
That's
and
what it say.
entire,
That's
which means satisfied
Satisfied.
Yeah.
and steadfast. That's what it's saying. Satisfied and steadfast.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Well, we enjoyed the lesson and thank everybody for the input that came with it. The kids teacher, y'all got anything?
No, they just had a Bible trivia and they won their little prizes. That's it.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Brother Mitch, you wanna lead us in prayer? Pastor, you got anything?
I have I'm Pastor